Hi everyone, we're actually on to video 8, so this is the 8th video which is working on my book and my cards, illustrating them, how to use them. And I actually thought I was going to be working on the pentagon, which would have been exciting, but I've realised that we still need to do some more work on the key of life. Because what's happened is I've realised that the key of life actually spins around. It is a key, but it can be a mental problem, mental block, a physical block, or it can be the blind eye or the crazy 8, I blame you. So, I mean, this has all just come to me just now. So it's really exciting. I've just realized that I wrote this book, and, you know, all that had its place for me and took me so far. It's taught me how to get out, show myself, actually physically publish a book, and so much learning has gone into it. But now I realize I'm actually putting it all into practice, and it's making me really understand it. So I didn't know this about it. I hadn't realized. This one has always fascinated me, but I just thought it was the brain and just karma. Well, it's showing us all different ways how to deal with the different blocks, you know. So last week we looked at, you know, I just did a kind of showing how we came to physical form and accepting karma, and how it gave us a point in life. Yes, a point. You know, there we did that, and it was important because otherwise we didn't have any power, and we needed to test our tools that we'd learned. And then there's the point which we aim for. And then I briefly looked at one of my kind of what I was dealing with at the moment in my blog. And how to, I wrote down what I was feeling, and I did a bit of art therapy there. And then I said, we looked at how to move it around. And this is just kind of bringing in the spiral of life. So that is one way, definitely. Prayer, gosh, that's a powerful thing. Prayer is alchemical. It will give you, you know, huge aha moments. It will move you forward, and it will heal. It's bringing that prana, that beautiful energy in. So that was one way of dealing with, I call an average everyday problem. And there are other ones that go with average everyday, but we're also going to see that, you know, if problems stack up for too long, you can end up in this place, which is despair and depression, and a really deep hole, if you like. So we're going to get to this point, but I just wanted to continue looking at, you know, how we deal with the different kind of blocks that we're going to have. So first of all, let's go back to the ones, you know, the normal, I'm too much in my head, I'm thinking too much. There's a very good expression that says, stay in your head, you're dead. Well, that's absolutely true. If we stay up here, we disconnect, as I showed you last week, and we start to rise up off the floor, and we're ungrounded, and it all gets, and then our bodies start to, well, we start not to feel, and we start to actually disassociate from life. So when this is going on, alongside prayer, which is a great thing to use, and bringing that chi and that prana, I wanted to look at other ways of dealing with that. So what you can do, which is very important, and we're all learning to do this now, and I think that's fabulous with children as well, because it's going to help them to move through obstacles, is to learn to come back down and ground through meditation. So then we're just literally, we're fusing back down. If you imagine that you're creating all this electrical activity up here, and breathing, you bring it down to the ground, as it comes, and you're able to fuse the energy through, and it's beginning to balance. So straight away, meditation is very powerful. Plus it will begin to run the chi and the prana through. So you'll begin to heal just with meditation. Spending time in nature, really important. Eating well, gardening, creativity, movement to get rid of, to get that physical kind of stuckness out, so you can actually move it around. So all of these things are really important. And plus concentrating on the focal point in the middle, which is the heart. And so often in our society, we just go up to our head, and we're told, you know, logical thought, lead with logic. you know, we forget about what our heart is saying. And our heart doesn't work like that. It will take us off on tangents. And we may be that we've been living a long way away from what our heart wants. So we have to learn to put that as a new kind of focus, so that we create flow and bring it down. So I think it'd be quite fun if you just wanted to look at that. Then I thought, what's going on behind this? What's kind of causing this block? Because there's always something behind there. What's the blind spot, which we're going to see anyway further on, when we look at the actual mask. But what is that? What are we saying to ourselves up here? And quite often we've learnt in our childhood to have an inner critic. So that's something that's fun to do. And in IPEC, which I learnt coaching with, fantastic company, they call it, coaching world, they call it the gremlin. So this is the inner voice that's going, you are not good enough, you can't do this, and quite often we've kind of blinded ourselves. We've put the little dot up there. I don't even know where, we aren't even realise that we've got, sorry, that wasn't English, we don't even realise that we've got a gremlin talking to us all the time, pulling us down, telling us things that are not helpful, not allowing us to just open like a flower, which is what we're meant to do. So if we've all the time got this going in our background thought, we'll be attracting all the time these negative reflections into our life. So what's really good is once you recognize it, so you go to, oh, I've got a gremlin. That's why it's fantastic to actually draw it or come up with an actual manifestation of it. Make it 3D. You can even make what does your gremlin look like? I called mine horrid Hetty. I don't know why. I suppose Hecate. That's a bit like the witchy, the bad witchy. And she's slightly kind of making me, you're bad, you don't know this, and all that kind of thing. So once you have done that, there is a huge amount of relief, and if you give it a name, that also gives a huge amount of relief. And along with the gremlin, there are also other things that come up, which are the limiting beliefs, which might be things like, we've had these from our cultural, this is karma, cultural karma. Girls are stupid. Girls only do this. That's a limiting belief. You've been told that. It's been downloaded to you. I mean, I'm just making up very extreme examples. That's obviously not true. I mean, whatever you believe in is the truth. Interpretations, things like, oh, he didn't call me. That's because he doesn't like me. Well, he maybe didn't call you because he's busy. It's got nothing to do with that. There could be 4 or 5 different ways. Somebody's just had an accident and he had to rush off and do something. So we are very quick to make ourselves unhappy in everyday life with things, interpretations, and assumptions. I assume that it would be a good idea to, I can't think of an assumption at the moment. I always get confused, but anyway, you've got the gist. So these are all things that are kind of downloading into our brain and that we're fiddling around thinking all the time. And then we're lifting up and we are beginning to tip over and the downward spiral is beginning to happen and oh dear, the triads are coming out and we're trying to prop it up and so it's all not happening. So great if you actually can draw your gremlin, put him in the fire, and then draw your cheerleader. Well, mine, when I just did him now, turned up looking like this. So it's a sort of androgynous figure, actually. Very beautiful, completely pared down and full of light. Hasn't got any halos or anything. It's just very much a human being, but full of the I am. And I like it because it feels like he or she has got my back. And the heart is resonating out, and I can feel that. So that's a very powerful thing to do in a normal everyday life occurrences. When you've got all this going on, you've disconnected, you go into the meditation and start looking at at the different things that might be coming up in your brain. I'm obviously covering this very quickly because in the black dot, the key of life, everything's there. It unlocks us into our mastery, and we can activate all those beautiful gifts that we have behind the monad, the duad, and the triad, which is gorgeous. And these are the alchemical symbols, don't forget. So they're coming through us and we can bring them out. So exciting. Okay, so then I also looked at, which I thought was fascinating, was what if, where's my thingy gone? If it's that way around your dot. You might want to just spin the card around if you had the cards, or even in your mind go, is it up or down or sideways? And then you'll actually know where you're working. I'm also going to look at that kind of thing. So what if it's that way around, the dot is down, and you've actually, for me, you can also get problems, negative blocks in the tummy. And we realise that the tummy, from our common vernacular, is also a very powerful area for us. We talk about gut feelings, we talk about, I know it in my tripas, they say in Mexico, and that's like, and the Chinese will tell you, and we're beginning to realise that that whole flora and fauna, which they're now calling the biome or whatever, is all the bacteria and the viruses are actually a second brain. They actually feed back from our physical body what's really going on, what we're eating, what we're coming into contact with, how we're feeling, our emotional centers. So if this is off, your brain is going to be off. So you may have done all your meditation, you may be all very happy, you're going and things are okay, but suddenly you're out of whack and you can't work it out. Maybe you've just got a bit, drunk a bit too much coffee or eaten too much sugar. So you have to look at the function. So function is also important because we're in the physical body now. And if we can get the flora and fauna back into, lower the acid, eat alkaline, get the inflammation down, and there are loads of medical things just around this whole area. All the food gurus, that's a big thing now. So you will have to look at that too. But interestingly enough, behind Candida, which comes up with this, there is a feeling of, there is a sort of, when you look at Louise Hay, it's all about not deserving. I don't deserve, and I don't love myself unconditionally. So if you can look at that as well, I mean, I'm all for looking at the physical body. You have to look at all the triads all the time. But what's underlying behind that? And maybe you can bring in, I do deserve. I love myself unconditionally, and the other. So that's another area, and that you could work with art therapy too, or you can just go out and buy your acidophilus and eat properly. Okay, so we've done that. Now I want to look at the when it's this way round. Okay, so we've got this kind of this wonderful biblical phrase of I love that. If you have a smote in your eye, do not judge the other, take the smote out of his eye, something like that. Anyway, it's very hellfire and brimstone. Anyway, so yeah, if it comes up for you that way around, of course we're in relationships, we're in the completely looking at the other, we're in the blame game here. It's all your problem, not mine. I'm all beautiful and shiny. But you're not. So we're beginning on the crazy 8, your fault, my fault, and it's all beginning to get out of balance. And we're beginning to disconnect so that we don't have to deal with them. So it becomes a blind spot. But they are just showing us what we need to look at. So even if you're in a relationship, say you're with some narcissistic relationship where they genuinely are actually not to blame, but they're not helping, you actually do need to break with them. You still need to look at what it is that they're showing you that you have a blind spot to. What are you actually missing out and not seeing? So that might be that you don't have enough self-confidence. So there are things that you still have to look at, even if you're going to actually break from this relationship. So because it looks like a mask, how are we going to actually work with it? Well, obviously as a mask. So I did it by looking at what I project out to the public, or to you, the other person. So this is my so-called shiny self, the I. And yeah, I would say that's pretty much it. I'm trying to, you know, already I'm using these words trying to. It's a bit, I'm not really achieving it. Maybe there's that feeling, okay? So we've got this slight, I thought it was interesting. I chose a red dot, which is protection, bindi, but it also looks quite painful there. So I'm wanting, changing already the vocabulary to project my ideas to the future, and to people, to posterity. And I'm also got lots of sort of colourful, and it's fairly sort of active and bright. But yes, you can see there's a bit of pain there. So the beginning, even on my outside projection, I can see that there's something going on. So that warned me. Then, oh God, then I did this I did to show the other side of the mask. So the mask should be like that. You see, this is the outside, and this is really what's going on inside. Wonderful. Okay, that's not looking so good, is it? And actually, I used a technique which they use, the Surrealists came up with, which is automatic writing, automatic painting. I use it a lot with my power. Just get it all out there. Do not think. So get out of your mind. Do not judge. Just, and then you will see what's really going on. So yes, there's this feeling of the third eye disintegrating, and there's pain. And then I started to see this, which I found really revolutionary, really in the sense that revelationary. It actually made me realize how I'm definitely feeling. It's like my vision is being squashed, and that feeling of not being able to project your vision, and it's all the other's fault. No, just keep projecting your vision. Don't, you know, okay, bleed for the world, because yes, there's glyphosate everywhere, big pharma's taking the mick. Don't get me on my soapbox, but you know, we know that all our vision in life, we can see that we could create far more flow and gorgeousness. But I am frustrated, and that's how it looks. And I'm blaming. It's all your fault. Well, it's so not. So, okay. So then how do I kind of make it all positive, for me anyway? So what was interesting is I have to turn into a wise old owl, as it turns out. This again was painted just sort of blah, blah, throw it on. And I love the way the third eye has now gone into indigo, which is the exact vibration of the pineal. I didn't really think about it. Out it came, looks like a beak opening up, seeing into the future. There isn't so much pain in there, and the eyes are clear and wide open. So now I'm going, do you know what, I'll just push through this pain, and I will just continue, however rubbish everybody thinks it is. It doesn't matter. And doing this has helped. So what you're watching is Lucy Hodges healing creatively with you. And so that was that. Then, obviously, we've got the real, I'm having to go quite fast because there's so much information in this one. We've got the moment when you hit the bottom of you've spiraled down, you've taken a wrong turn in your life, you've started to drink too much, you're eating too much, you're miserable, you can't move physically, you don't like it. Then the inner critic has gone, you're useless, and then life reflects back because you're thinking that you are. Then you're beginning to feel you can't move, and you're stuck, and everything's miserable. Then you might, if you stay in it for long enough, start to manifest some kind of chronic illness or some disability or something, nervous breakdown or something like that. And burnout. What life is actually saying is stop. You need to totally unpack. So now this has kind of pushed down into you. So all your karmas, everything you need to look at has come to the now. And these are the great breakthrough moments. This is when you literally go, right, I'm out of here. I'm going to India. I'm going to, but most of us don't have that. We can't actually do that in our lives. Or we can. I mean, we can actually choose. The point is we can choose. But we can use tools to make this, to help this. The first tool is realizing that we are in this problem and that we need to get ourselves out. So take responsibility. Yes, I've been here. I completely admit it many times. Quite an expert at it, actually. Okay, so I'm just going to write down, because I'm obviously I do therapy, but I can't do it all in this video. So you would need to go to therapy there. Anything that chimes with your soul and resonates, you need to connect with your heart, take the time, realize that there's a problem, and go on the seeking. Seek and you shall find. So you will. Definitely, I think, very important. I wouldn't even say it's part of therapy. To me, it's a vital thing that everyone does. It's a family constellation. Because, and I'm going to show you now why, because I think that's, and we can do that with the cards, by the way, but we use it with the heart log therapy, which is part of phytobiophysics. All my phytobiophysics students out there will understand how useful this is. Then you've got energy healing, so the Reikis, the pranas, the people doing all that kind of work. That's, I think you need to look at it holographically when you get to this stage. Environment, you might need to change, change things around in your home, the feng shui. You might to change job, you might even have to change friends. There's a lot that has to be moved about when you're in this place. You need to look at your well-being, food, look at the vitamins. I mean, also remember the body can be causing a lot of problems. So it can be sometimes not just the mind. So look at the body, exercise, meditation should be over the whole thing. And spirituality, what's your connection with the I am? Because if you don't have any connection, you're like a rag doll like that. You're like, ooh, you've got to pull yourself up and look up. So your I am might be hugging trees, it might be saying Om every day, it might be going and happy clapping, I love all that, whatever it is, just find something that brings a sense of God into your life. Nature, creativity. Creativity is massive because creativity is a very high energy. You co-create with God when you're actually doing something that you love doing. You'll notice that time disappears and that you're really into it. That is incredible because it's very meditative, and you'll be creating all kinds of room for new possibilities and building the energy up to high, so you'll be feeling better. And that also helps you express, so you'll be getting rid, as you've seen, and you'll have aha moments, and it will help you vomit out literally all this shiza that you need to get out. And values, are your values being respected? Are you living to your values? I mean, if you love nature and you're working in the airport night shifts, that's going to be really hard on you, and it's going to make you spiral right down and really be heavy. So look at all that too. Okay, so then I just wanted to show you, so we don't get too long, it's getting 22 minutes, sorry guys. So I wanted to show you what a family constellation, why I think family constellation and the heart lock therapy is so important, working on, so what I think is very important is looking at where your parents and your children, where your sisters and brothers are in the molecule, because the family creates a molecule. So I wanted to do an example. Okay, so this is an ordinary dysfunctional molecule, and we all basically have dysfunctional ones now because we've been building up our karma for so long. So for instance, this is daddy, this is mummy, and this might be you. So you're not, what we should have in a functional family karma is that unit. So we're going to lead on to that. So when you see that, you can actually, if you look at that, that's why I'm saying please go to family constellations, because I think it's one of the most powerful therapies that we have alongside therapy. So and then you actually, because you can talk as much as you like, but if you actually go to do this family constellation and reconstitute your family in the right molecule, it does release alchemically a whole load of shit, and that's really important. So yeah, you might have your brother there, your sister there, and the baby is kind of holding on to mummy, and you're stuck in the middle with them, kind of sending you this bad energy. You shouldn't be there. I mean, that's really not a good place. So what it will do, the constellation, is it will bring back daddy and mummy, and then put you in the right place and allow the energy to come through you, so that you will reconnect with your ancestral I am. That's another I am. Very important, the beautiful energy coming through from your grandparents and their grandparents, parents, plus the I am of God. And I put that as And what you'll actually see is that's why we move into the pentagon next, because that is the Da Vinci Man, but it's also your home before you move out into life. And if this is out of whack, everything's out of whack. So yes, I mean, that's almost the pentagon one, I might come back with this in a nutshell. So guys, this has been a very long one, but as you can see, it's massively juicy. So I hope you've enjoyed that one. Working with the lovely key of life. Actually, what I did want to show you too, last thing, is if you pick that one and you go, oh my god, it's so miserable, I hate this one, don't think that, just go, yoo-hoo, I'm going to find out what the problem is. What you can do, if you've only got the book, you could, then if you don't know where your problem is, you think, I'm feeling okay really, could be very subliminal, just do this, and then go bing, so nightshade. So you could then work on that one, okay? And see what's coming up and see if anything resonates for you, okay? Might be physical, might be spiritual, might be emotional. Have a look at that. You know, you can do a couple, or you could just do the same thing of the threes, see which one I like, which one I don't like, and which one balances. So then you're working, you know, where is the of this problem here? Or if you've got the cards, just shuffle them and see what comes up. Grounding for me, yeah, this was quite a sort of nerve-wracking one, I have to admit. And I'm not sure how grounded I've been in this presentation, but I hope that the I Am has been talking through me, because it is a privilege to be here. But anyway, so there we go. That's the end of this very powerful mandala. Human form and the abundance of the figure of 8. The point of life, karma. Okay, guys, well, that's it then. I will see you next week to talk about the pentagon. Take care.